Getting into the tournament, you kind of started talking about it, but you went up to your smallie stuff and you popped a couple early. What were you throwing?
Swim bait.
Swim
That's what
bait?
I caught. Every smallmouth that I caught. Well, this one right here.
Like more of a paddle tail or more of a
Yeah,
kayak?
just I'll get it. Hold on a second. That's the exact one right there. Just a rainbow shad. See it?
See, like a kayak 3.8?
Rainbow shad 3.8 kayak on a head that I make. That's the 3/4 ounce. That was the game day major change the last day to get. I think 4 of the 5 that I caught that last day were on a 3/4 ounce, and I had never thrown a 3/4 ounce in practice or in the tournament.
If
What's
you would
that?
have thrown a heavier one earlier, you would have caught more fish?
I just think on that particular spot, it got down. You know, the current was so heavy. I caught him on a half there right away. I mean, I caught a couple on a 3/8 ounce too, but I just think there was so many fish there that initially it didn't matter if it was a foot under the surface or on the bottom. But I think I caught a 485 was the only one I weighed that was on the half ounce. All the other big ones were on the 3/4. And I changed that fairly early in the morning. I mean, I had a good, a good bag when I switched, but once I switched, the first 2 casts, one was a 520 and the next one was a 4-pounder. And then late in the day when I went back there, I caught the 491 and a 462 on it. So, but the other spot I was fishing, you wouldn't be able to throw in a 3/4. It was way too snaggy. I mean, you touched the bottom and you were snagged with a half ounce.
So day one, you roll up and you said you caught what, like three or four quick small?
I caught 4 keeper small. 2 were good ones. 2 were close to 3 pounds. I caught in like my first maybe 7, 8 casts. I mean, it was quick. And my co-angler caught a couple small ones and he lost a real big one. And then it was done. That was it. And then
that was all the swim bait.
That was all in swim bait. That's all I threw on that spot. You couldn't. That current was so heavy, couldn't really do anything else. I think I tried a jerk bait there the last day, but you just couldn't do it. And you couldn't drag anything because as soon as it touched the bottom, it was hung up. You couldn't do it. That's literally about all you could throw. Maybe like a square bill or something, but no, everything I caught. Every smallmouth I caught in that tournament was on that swim bait, or not necessarily that color, but just a 4-inch swim bait. And then I did get one the second day on a Carolina rig, smallmouth that ended up calling.
What depth were those fish sitting in?
Anywhere from 6 to 8 foot. Nothing super deep.
So was it like a rise, or there was a couple? Like, what were they keyed on?
Honestly, that first spot, I still don't know. I mean, there was a little point I was fishing, but out in the middle there was a few bigger rocks, but it wasn't like there was a point or a eddy or anything they were behind. I don't know. I mean, there was something out there, obviously, but there's nothing distinct. I mean, up there, everything's rock.
Yeah.
So it was rock, but it wasn't like there was a lip or a ledge. They just were sitting in one particular spot on it, and I just happened to, get lucky that
changes day to day, hour to hour, depending on the current, I think, right?
I think it does because, like the last day I pulled up there, and I didn't know because I had beat on it the first 2 days. I pulled up there and they were busting everywhere. Like they were jumping out of the water. And a lot of the stuff you see out there doing that, it's not bass. It's those, I don't know what tulipy things or whatever, skipjacks they call them. A lot of them are them, but these, I could see them like those are smallmouth. Like they're coming out of the water. They're coming out of the water. And so I thought this is going to be really good. And I caught, actually one of them I caught there the third day was a nice spotted bass. But I caught 2 nice smallies and a spotted bass and then a couple little ones. And then like all the life was gone. There was just nothing there. No bait, none of those skipjack things. And then I don't know where they went. I could never find them. I fished up, I fished down, I fished out further, and I never could relocate them. It's weird. So, and then that other spot where I caught all them big ones, I think that was just it wasn't rock because I never got hung up ever. So I think it was just a little gravel point with just enough of a seam that, it got them out of that heavy current enough where they could stay positioned, but it was close enough to that current where they could still feed easily.
Yeah. So what was your setup, like line, rod, etc.?
I was throwing that swim bait on a 7.6 medium heavy, moderate fast, which in my opinion was key. St. Croix Legend X or Legend Extreme. And I was throwing Daiwa Tatula SV 7.3 gear ratio. And then I was throwing 20-pound Sunline shooter fluoro.
Pretty heavy then.
Like, you didn't need I mean, dude, them things, them big ones, it was all I could do to.
Yeah,
they were so strong.
Thinking about the current on your line, the drag, and how much that. More, not so much like I don't think the fish care. It's more about
getting it to that's the key is getting it to swing right. But once I figured out where to land that bait to get it to go into that zone right, it didn't matter. I mean, that the diameter of the line didn't make a huge difference in my opinion. I mean, you couldn't cast it, and I mean, you had to know how to fish current. Basically, you had to know how to cast and position the boat and know where your target was. Because when you made that cast, you weren't casting. Not like you're flipping to a tree where you're flipping to where your bait's going to go. You had to cast well ahead of where you wanted your bait to be. When it was in the zone where they were going to eat it. So
yeah. You guys can see I know how to do that because I had the drum dialed in my practice.
Yeah,
so
the drum.
I have great examples of how to do that on drum in my practice video. So
yeah, they were easy to catch.